Hey guys! Tonight we're going to drift far back, farther than you've ever imagined. You close your eyes, and suddenly you are no longer in your room. You're surrounded by nothing but endless dark, a black canvas so deep that even the word empty feels too busy to describe it. Out here, there are no cities, no sounds, no cozy blankets. Just you floating gently in a place that has barely begun to exist. You probably wouldn't survive this era. There's no air, no stars, no earth. But luckily, we're here only in imagination, safe in the warmth of your bed. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you'd like, drop a comment below with your location and the local time right now. It's always fascinating to see how many time zones are falling asleep together. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's drift into tonight's story together. The universe has just flickered into being. You can almost sense the rush, though rush is too strong a word. In cosmic terms, this is a slow exhale, a whisper unfolding over vastness. The very first light, faint and fragile, trickles through the darkness. It is not the warm golden glow of the sun, you know, but a pale, stretched light, traveling from what scientists today call the cosmic microwave background. It hums like the faintest static, filling all of space with an invisible blanket of energy. You float in this newness, and time feels strange. A second passes, then another. But here, seconds are almost meaningless. Billions of years ahead of you, galaxies will be born. But for now, the universe is still figuring itself out. Imagine being inside an oven that hasn't decided if it's baking bread or just warming air. That's the stage you're in. The particles you brush past tiny bits of matter don't look like much. They scatter like dust motes in sunlight. Yet each one carries the potential for something larger, something alive with possibility. Historians still debate whether we should call this stage orderly or chaotic. After all, the mathematics seem precise. But if you look closely, it's more like a cosmic toddler spilling building blocks everywhere, letting them land however they wish. And you float through it, calm and unhurried. The light is not bright, it's soft, gentle, stretching as the universe expands. You can almost hear it sighing. Expansion doesn't roar, it doesn't announce itself. It's more like the quiet widening of a ripple on a pond. Curiously, if you could reach out with invisible hands, you'd notice a balanced matter here, antimatter there. They don't get along. Most of them cancel each other out, vanishing in little flashes. But somehow, improbably, a tiny excess of matter remains. Without that small cosmic accident, you wouldn't be here listening. You wouldn't have hands to turn off your lamp or eyes to close against the dark. And so, in the silence, you glide past glowing patches, tiny regions where particles cling together just a bit more tightly. They are so small, so subtle, that you almost miss them. But these gentle wrinkles, these ripples in the early fabric of space, will grow into galaxies, stars, and worlds. If you lean close enough and time bends to your curiosity, you can smell nothing. Total stillness, but you feel possibility, like the scent of rain before clouds even form. One scholar once compared this first flicker of light to a baby's heartbeat. Faint, fragile, yet steady enough to prove life has begun. Another compared it to the glow-in-the-dark sticker on a child's ceiling, not bright enough to keep you awake, but enough to remind you the dark isn't absolute. You continue to float, and slowly, imperceptibly, the universe expands further. Space itself stretches, and the once close patches of matter move apart. The faint light keeps following you, stretching thinner, redder, quieter, until you're left drifting in an ever darker room. But remember, in that soft emptiness, the seeds of galaxies are already planted. And you, lucky dreamer, are here at the very start, rocking gently in the cradle of everything. You drift further into the darkness, though it no longer feels like nothing. Here and there, you notice faint clouds, barely perceptible, like wisps of smoke curling through a midnight room. They are hydrogen and helium, the simplest elements, drifting together in great, quiet rivers. You reach out with your imagination. Brushing your fingers through them, they scatter like dust, yet they also cling, tugged softly by the invisible hand of gravity. These clouds are shy. They do not want to become stars right away. They float, they drift, they gather, and for millions of years they hesitate. It's as if the universe is humming to itself, waiting for the courage to glow. You drift among them, a quiet guest at the rehearsal of a grand performance. Eventually, the clouds grow restless. Their own weight presses down, folding them inward. It's a slow squeeze, almost like a blanket pulled tighter around you on a chilly night. Within these densest knots, pressure builds until the atoms themselves shiver and fuse, and then suddenly, but still gently, a star is born. It's not like the fireworks you imagine on Earth. There's no crack, no bang. The first stars simply bloom, as if someone lit a candle in a cathedral so vast that you hadn't realized how dark it was until that single flame appeared. Their light is blue-white, intense and young, spilling softly across the endless void. You gaze, and it feels like watching the first campfires of history being lit. Here's a historical fact worth tucking under your pillow. These first stars were enormous, many times larger than your Sunday. Their size made them short-lived. They burned brilliantly, but only for a few million years before fading. Imagine a mayfly, alive for just a day, compared to an old tortoise that sees centuries. These stars were the mayflies of the cosmos, bright, beautiful, and fleeting. And yet, their brief lives mattered. They forged the first heavier elements, like carbon and oxygen, the ingredients your body would one day be made of. Without them, there would be no air to breathe, no water to sip, no trees to nap beneath. Every molecule you carry is a quiet inheritance from those first blazing giants. Historians, or rather cosmologists, still debate exactly how quickly these stars formed, and whether their light alone was enough to chase away the fog of early darkness. Some argue they came in great clusters, glittering together like a cosmic city skyline. Others believe they were sparse and solitary, little lanterns floating in an otherwise empty sea. You wander through the uncertainty, drifting among both possibilities, amused by how even experts must sometimes shrug and say, "We're not entirely sure." As more stars awaken, the universe begins to feel less lonely. The hydrogen fog thins, peeled back by the young starlight. It's as though a curtain is slowly lifting on a stage, and the play you've been waiting for is about to begin. You float quietly in the balcony seat of infinity, watching a light show billions of years in the making. Occasionally, you brush past knots of gas too shy to ignite. They wait, stubbornly holding out, like introverts at a party who prefer standing in the corner until conditions feel just right. Don't worry, they too will join the glow in their own time. You notice the warmth of a young star nearby. Though warmth here is relative, it would sear you instantly if you were truly present. But in this dreamy drift, it feels like the faintest brush of sunlight on your cheek after a long winter. For a moment, you almost laugh at the irony. You're falling asleep to the story of the hottest fires ever lit. And then, as more stars join the chorus, you realize the darkness is no longer so complete. The universe is learning how to sparkle. And you, wrapped in blankets back on Earth, are learning how to let go of today's worries as the first galaxies gather their scattered stars. You float onward, and now the faint stars no longer seem isolated. They're beginning to find each other, like people slowly gathering in a square at dusk. Drawn together by gravity, they cluster into shapes that look almost familiar: spirals, ellipses, strange blobs that shimmer in the distance. This is where galaxies are born, though they are not yet the grand, polished swirls you've seen in books. They are clumpy, uneven, young, like sketches drawn with a shaky hand. From your vantage point, you can watch gravity at work without sound or rush. The pull is subtle, like the slow leaning of two people drawn into conversation. The stars and clouds are not aware of the dance, yet they move as though they've rehearsed it for billions of years. One solid fact to anchor yourself in: most galaxies contain hundreds of billions of stars. Even the smallest are home to millions. To imagine this, picture every grain of sand on every beach on Earth, and then imagine each grain shining like a star. That's still not quite enough to fill a galaxy, but it gets you close. And here, you're watching the first drafts of those immense collections take shape. Curiously, galaxies don't all look the same. Some stretch into delicate spirals with arms curling like seashells. Others are round and smooth, more like puffballs drifting in the dark. And some are chaotic, twisted by collisions you'll see later. Historians still debate which type appeared first. Did the spirals spin out early, or were the puffball galaxies the true pioneers? You drift between both possibilities, enjoying the uncertainty the way you might enjoy not knowing the ending of a good story. As you float, You notice the quiet rhythm of their formation. Clouds fall inward, stars orbit their unseen centers, and a kind of cosmic neighborhood forms. It's oddly comforting. Even across billions of light years, galaxies seem like cities, vast, glowing places, each with its own character, each bustling in its own invisible way. If you listen with your imagination, you almost hear it. Not a loud sound, but a hush. The whisper of stars settling into orbit, the sigh of gas clouds cooling, the faint hum of structure forming in the silence. It feels like the universe is exhaling after the effort of creation. And here's a small, lesser-known detail. Many galaxies formed as pairs or groups, rather than alone. They pulled at each other across space, like siblings sharing the same cradle. Even our Milky Way has a companion, the Andromeda Galaxy, and the two are drifting toward each other for a slow-motion embrace that will only happen billions of years from now. You smile, imagining two galaxies bumping softly together, like drowsy dancers swaying to the quietest music. In this moment, you realize the darkness between galaxies is just as important as the light they emit. Without the space around them, without the room to drift and grow, they wouldn't exist at all. The dance is only possible because of the stage. Everywhere you turn, more galaxies flicker into being. They are small at first, fragile, like sparks from a campfire carried into the wind. Yet they survive, and together, they begin filling the universe with structure. You can sense the coming complexity, clusters, webs, collisions, but for now, you simply float through their graceful birth. And maybe you smile again at a gentle thought. Billions of years later, a tiny human species will tilt their heads back on a warm summer night and make up stories about these same galaxies. To them, it will be constellations and myths. To you, here, it's the very beginning of cosmic neighborhoods. The darkness doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels alive with slow movement, with galaxies assembling quietly, like dancers stepping into position for a performance that will last as long as time itself. You drift deeper, and soon you notice something unusual. The galaxies, those quiet spirals and puffballs of light, don't always stay politely apart. Slowly, steadily, like icebergs in a black ocean, they drift toward each other. The first time you see two collide, you almost expect a crash, a cosmic explosion, something loud and dramatic. But no, it's quiet, almost gentle. Two vast collections of stars, each with billions of suns, pass into one another as though made of mist. Most of the stars themselves never actually touch the spaces between them, are just too wide. It's like watching two swarms of fireflies drift together in the night. From a distance, it looks more like a ballet than a battle. The galaxies stretch and warp, their arms tugged into delicate streams. You can almost imagine them as ribbons, pulled slowly apart by invisible fingers. Sometimes they form bridges of stars, faint glowing arcs connecting one galaxy to another. Other times, they twist into strange shapes, tails of light flung across the void. Here's a historical fact to steady your imagination. Our own Milky Way will one day merge with the Andromeda Galaxy. It's on its way right now, though you won't see it in your lifetime. It will take about 4 billion years, long enough that the Earth itself may be unrecognizable. Historians still debate what the final shape will be, a grand elliptical blob, or something more unusual. Some call the future merged system Milkomeda, which sounds a little like a cosmic candy bar. A curious detail drifts by. When galaxies merge, gas clouds often slam together, even if the stars don't. Those gas collisions can spark bursts of new star formation, as if the universe decided to celebrate with fireworks after all. Imagine it, two old galaxies brushing against one another, and suddenly, thousands of newborn stars crying their first brilliant light. It's chaotic, yes, but also beautiful, like two elderly choirs meeting and suddenly giving birth to a brand new orchestra. You watch another merger unfold. At first, the two galaxies glance past each other, grazing edges. They circle again, slower, closer, until finally they fall inward, twisting into a single luminous core. You might think of two dancers embracing in slow motion, their skirts trailing behind them in ribbons of light. Except here, the dance takes hundreds of millions of years. If you blink in human terms, you miss it. But here, floating timelessly, you can see every curve, every pull. There's a strange comfort in it. You realize collisions aren't endings, they're transformations. No stars are truly destroyed in these meetings. They're simply rearranged, given new orbits, new neighborhoods, new skies. Even destruction becomes creation in this vast and patient universe. You smile at a quiet thought. Down on Earth, people often worry about bumping into each other in traffic, in the grocery aisle, on the sidewalk. But out here, collisions are part of the rhythm. They don't cause apologies or car horns. They create galaxies. Another debate drifts through your mind, one whispered among astronomers. How often did these early collisions happen, and how much did they shape the galaxies we see today? Some argue most galaxies owe their entire structure to ancient mergers. Others believe collisions were rare, and galaxies mostly grew quietly on their own. As you float through this ballet, you suspect the truth, as always, is somewhere in between. The light from colliding galaxies ripples across your vision, stretching into soft arcs. You could almost mistake them for brushstrokes on a painter's canvas, except the paint is starlight, and the canvas is the universe itself. And as you drift onward, you realize the universe isn't just expanding outward. It's folding, twisting, merging, dancing. It's social, in its own vast, glacially slow way. And you, dreamer, are its quiet witness. You float farther, and now the scale grows even larger. Individual galaxies, once the focus of your gaze, begin to look small, like lanterns scattered across a vast field. You blink, and suddenly, you see them not as isolated lights, but as part of something greater. Clusters. A galaxy cluster is like a city of galaxies, bound together by gravity. Some hold just a handful, others boast thousands. You drift among them like a slow balloon, moving through glowing metropolises suspended in the dark. The Milky Way itself is part of a modest neighborhood called the Local Group, just a small town compared to the sprawling clusters you're passing now. Between the galaxies, the space isn't as empty as it looks. Wisps of hot gas linger, too thin for human eyes but glowing faintly in X-rays, invisible to your drifting body. And hidden beneath it all is something even stranger. Dark matter, an invisible framework. It doesn't shine, it doesn't glow, but it pulls, shaping everything. You can't see it, but you feel it, like a hand gently guiding your drift. Here's a fact that might soothe you. Dark matter makes up most of the mass in these clusters, yet no one knows exactly what it is. It's like a character in a story who's always there in the background, never speaking, but without whom the plot makes no sense. Some scholars say it's a type of particle we've never detected. Others wonder if it's a flaw in our understanding of gravity itself. You glide past both possibilities, letting the mystery rest, like an unanswered riddle you don't need to solve tonight. As you drift through one of the larger clusters, you notice a pattern forming. The galaxies aren't scattered randomly. They stretch into filaments, long threads of light, woven together across the darkness. Imagine a spider web, except the strands are made of galaxies, stretching across billions of light years. This is the cosmic web, the universe's grand architecture. If you pause and look closely, you see that the web isn't perfect. Some regions are crowded with galaxies, others are nearly empty, vast cosmic voids stretching like silent deserts. You float into one of these voids for a moment, and the silence is deeper than anything you've felt before. No stars, no clusters, just an ocean of stillness. It's almost like wandering into a quiet room after leaving a noisy party. Peaceful, but also humbling. Then, drifting back toward the filaments, you see galaxies again, glowing in chains. They look like fairy lights strung across an endless ceiling, each one a spark of civilization waiting to happen. You smile, because the pattern feels familiar. Humans have always made webs, maps, and threads, weaving cloth, spinning stories, tracing constellations. Here, the universe has done the same, only on a scale so vast your mind almost laughs at the enormity. One small detail, often overlooked, the clusters themselves sometimes collide, just like individual galaxies. But instead of stars weaving together, it's entire swarms of galaxies meeting in a slow-motion embrace. The aftermath can last for billions of years, reshaping the web's pattern like ripples spreading across a pond. You drift through one such collision now, and though the scale is beyond imagining, the pace is so calm it feels like watching clouds drift lazily across the sky. Historians debate how early this web-like structure formed. Was it almost immediate, seeded by those tiny ripples you saw back in the first light? Or did it take billions of years, shaped gradually by gravity's patient pull? Floating here, you sense both answers at once. The pattern feels ancient, yet still unfinished, a tapestry the universe is still quietly weaving. And as you pass through the glowing strands, you realize you're not just watching history. You're gliding through the skeleton of everything, the quiet scaffolding that holds galaxies, stars, and even you in place. The web hums softly beneath you, a lullaby played on strings of light. You drift farther still, and the universe around you feels fuller, brighter. Galaxies sparkle like gems across the filaments of the cosmic web, and for the first time, you notice a new kind of order emerging within them. Stars are no longer only the blazing giants of youth. Now there are quieter ones, calmer ones, stars that can burn steadily for billions of years. You find yourself pausing near one such star. It is small, yellow, ordinary, and yet it radiates a calm, steady light, not as intense as its giant ancestors. Stars like this, astronomers say, are perfect for long, patient stories. They live for billions of years, giving time for planets to gather, to cool, and perhaps to dream. Around this star, you notice a faint disk of gas and dust. It looks like flowers scattered across a dark countertop, glimmering faintly. The particles circle, colliding gently, clumping together. Some crumble apart, but others stick, growing pebble by pebble, stone by stone. You drift closer, and before your eyes, the first planets begin to take shape. Here's a soothing fact. Every world you will ever hear of Earth, Mars, Venus, even the countless exoplanets circling far-off suns began as dust motes in such a disk. There is nothing hurried about it. It takes millions of years of drifting, colliding, and clumping for planets to be born. You imagine lying in bed, listening to raindrops tapping on a window. That same gentle persistence, over unimaginable spans of time, is what builds worlds. Some planets are rocky, small, and solid. They become the seeds of future mountains and rivers. Others grow so large they pull gas around themselves, swelling into massive giants, Jupiter-like worlds with thick, stormy atmospheres. And farther still, some remain icy, pale and distant, circling quietly at the edges of their systems like shy watchers at the edge of a dance floor. You linger near one forming planet. Its surface is molten, glowing like embers in a hearth. Volcanoes spit fountains of liquid rock into the air. It is harsh, dangerous, and yet there's a strange coziness in watching it from your safe, drifting place. You know that, with time, this fiery chaos will cool, oceans will form, atmospheres will settle. Even barren rock can become a home, given enough patience. Scholars still debate how common this process is. Are planets rare, like rare pearls hidden in a dark ocean? Or are they plentiful, scattered across every corner of the universe like wildflowers in a field? Recent evidence leans toward the second answer. Planets may be everywhere, countless and varied, each with its own slow story. You drift between both possibilities, savoring the wonder of not knowing. Something catches your eye. A planet so large that it bends light around it. Its gravity pulls at nearby starlight, making the background stars shimmer and shift, like a mirage in the desert. This effect, called gravitational lensing, is one of the universe's quieter tricks, a reminder that even invisible forces can paint illusions across the sky. As you continue to drift, you sense the universe has entered a more patient chapter. The frantic fireworks of the first stars have settled into the steady rhythm of suns and planets. The galaxies hum softly, like towns settling down after sunset. Life itself, though not yet visible to you, seems almost inevitable in this calmer, steadier light. You smile at the thought. Somewhere, someday, beings will look up at their night skies and wonder how it all began. They'll tell stories of creation, of gods, of sparks of light, never knowing they are part of a tale that began with dust quietly clumping together in silence. And as you let that thought drift across your mind, you feel yourself relaxing deeper, the universe itself whispering, "Patience, patience. Everything takes time." You drift onward, and now the universe feels less like a quiet nursery and more like a vast library, shelves upon shelves of galaxies, stars, and planets, each with its own slow story tucked away. You begin to notice how light itself has changed. It's softer now, stretched by the expansion of the cosmos. What was once blazing blue-white brilliance is mellowing into warmer, calmer tones. The universe is maturing, and you are floating through its middle years. Around you, stars live and die in cycles. Some fade quietly, dimming into white dwarfs, tiny, cooling embers that glow softly, like fireflies at the edge of summer. Others end more dramatically, collapsing inward and leaving behind black holes. These black holes are not the violent monsters you might imagine, but silent anchors. They pull invisibly at their surroundings, shaping galaxies, bending light, steady and patient. At the heart of many galaxies, you see them. Supermassive black holes, millions or even billions of times heavier than the Sunday. And yet, they are not empty voids. When gas drifts too close, it swirls in, glowing fiercely as it falls. For a time, these galaxies flare up as quasars' beacons bright enough to shine across billions of light years. You watch one now, a brilliant lighthouse at the center of a young galaxy, burning with calm ferocity. And then, slowly, it fades again, returning to quiet. Astronomers still debate how these black holes grew so large so quickly. Were they born big in the earliest days of the universe? Or did they feed and grow over time, swallowing stars and gas until they became giants? You drift between both possibilities, as if reading two different endings of the same story, both soothing in their mystery. Closer by, you witness a star's more intimate ending. It swells into a red giant, bloated and glowing like a fading coal. Its outer layers puff away, drifting into space like smoke. What remains is a delicate shell, a planetary nebula, glowing in blues and greens, shaped into soft, symmetrical curves. Some resemble halos, others butterflies, others faint rings. You drift through one, and it feels almost like floating through stained glass windows, quiet and fragile. And then, farther away, a star dies with greater force. You see the sudden bloom of a supernova, not a violent explosion, but a slow, unfurling flower of light when seen at this scale. It glows brighter than its entire galaxy for a brief moment, scattering heavy elements into the dark. Iron, gold, oxygen, carbon, all born here, in these quiet endings. You remember, softly. One day, billions of years later, those same elements will become the bones and breath of living things. There is something soothing in this rhythm. Stars are born, they shine, they fade, they scatter their gifts, and the cycle begins again. The universe, it seems, has no waste. Even endings are beginnings. Even silence is part of the song. A quiet thought comes to you. Perhaps this is why humans dream of reincarnation, of renewal. They are made of stardust, and somewhere deep inside, they remember this rhythm. They, too, feel the pull to believe that nothing truly ends. You float on, through the galaxies, through their lighthouses and their glowing embers, and it all feels like a great, cosmic lullaby. Every light you see is telling you the same story in 1,000 variations. Patience, renewal, transformation. The universe is not rushing anywhere. It is simply breathing, slowly, forever. And you, dreamer, are drifting along with its breath. You drift deeper into the universe's story, and now the pace feels steadier, more confident. The youthful fireworks of the early cosmos have quieted, and the great cosmic web hums with balance. Stars are forming at a slower rhythm now, like a heartbeat that has settled after exercise. This is the universe in its middle age, expansive, full, but calm. As you float, you notice something subtle. Galaxies are not just shining, they are aging. Their colors tell the tale. Some, filled with young stars, glow blue and bright, like fresh sparks. Others are redder, their stars older, slower burning. The blue galaxies are like bustling towns full of children at play, while the red galaxies resemble quiet villages at dusk. You drift between them, savoring the contrast. In one corner of the web, you come upon a massive elliptical galaxy. It has no graceful spirals, no delicate arms. Instead, it's a smooth, glowing oval, filled with old stars. It is quieter than the spiral galaxies you passed earlier, like a retired scholar content to simply shine softly without fuss. You realize, this galaxy may once have been a lively spiral, but countless mergers and collisions have softened it into this calmer shape. Galaxies, too, mellow with age. Closer, you notice clusters of galaxies still meeting, still tugging at each other across space. But here in the universe's middle years, the encounters are less frantic. The cosmic web has stretched wide, and galaxies are drifting farther apart overall. Expansion is beginning to show its quiet strength. You think back to the invisible presence of dark matter, and now you feel the influence of its twin, dark energy. It is everywhere, pushing galaxies apart, a silent hand guiding the expansion faster and faster. Astronomers still puzzle over what it is. Is it an energy of space itself, a property of the vacuum, or a shadow of something even larger than our universe? You don't need the answer tonight. It's enough to float in the awareness that even emptiness has a role to play. You drift into a wide region of sky where galaxies thin out, and you sense expansion's quiet pull. The voids are growing larger. The strands of the cosmic web are stretching, as if the universe is gently exhaling. You imagine being carried on that breath, like a leaf floating downstream. Yet within galaxies, life continues. Stars are still forming, planets still gathering dust, nebulae still glowing softly. It is a quieter universe, but not an empty one. You drift past a spiral galaxy rich with gas, its arms dotted with pink star-forming regions, each a cradle for suns and worlds yet unborn. It reminds you of blossoms scattered across a dark meadow. Even as the overall pace slows, pockets of creation continue their work, steady and patient. A gentle truth settles in. This middle-aged universe is the one you live in now. The stars above Earth, the Milky Way's spiral arms, the Andromeda Galaxy on its slow collision course all belong to this chapter. You are not looking at a distant past or a far-off future, but at the quiet present of the cosmos. And you realize something soothing. This age is not hurried. It is spacious, generous, vast beyond measure. You have time, billions of years of it. From the universe's perspective, your own life may feel brief, but here, floating in this endless calm, you sense that brevity is simply part of the design. Stars, galaxies, humans all flicker, all glow, all fade. But the universe itself continues, steady as breath. The galaxies twinkle faintly as you pass, like lamps left burning in windows across a sleeping countryside. You feel the same peace you might feel walking home late at night, knowing every light is a reminder that you are not alone. And so you drift, the universe whispering softly. All is unfolding as it should. You drift onward, and the universe begins to feel quieter still. The starfields remain vast, but their light is softer now, as if the cosmos is settling into a gentler rhythm. Where once galaxies teemed with newborn stars, now you notice more and more are glowing with the warm red of age. The universe is growing older, gracefully. Some galaxies have almost ceased making stars at all. They glow faintly, their gas long spent, their youthful clouds of dust blown away. They are like libraries whose shelves are already full, no new books being written, only the old ones slowly fading. You hover among them, feeling their calm, dignified presence. But here and there, you still see pockets of creativity. A dwarf galaxy, small and fragile, manages to spark new stars from its modest reserves of gas. It glimmers like a candle stubbornly refusing to go out. You smile, because even in a universe trending towards stillness, life finds little ways to keep the story going. Farther out, you notice the expansion more keenly. Galaxies slip away from one another like boats drifting apart on an ever-widening sea. The cosmic web, once dense and bright, is stretching thinner. The filaments still glow, but the gaps between them are growing vast. You pass through one such gulf, a cosmic desert, empty and still, and you feel time itself lengthening, as though the silence has deepened into infinity. Yet the silence is not frightening. It is soothing, like a lull in conversation between old friends. The universe has spoken much already. Now it rests, letting its earlier words echo softly across the dark. You find yourself near a galaxy where something extraordinary is happening. Two supermassive black holes, each born long ago at the centers of colliding galaxies, are spiraling slowly toward one another. Their dance is so slow it will take millions of years, but even from this distance you sense its gravity. Space itself ripples faintly around them, waves spreading outward like circles in a pond. Astronomers on Earth call them gravitational waves, and they, too, are part of the universe's quiet song. It strikes you that the universe is becoming more about memory now than novelty. The bright bursts of creation have slowed, and what remains is the weaving together of everything that has already happened. The heavy elements scattered by long-gone stars are locked into planets and comets. The galaxies carry scars of ancient collisions in their stretched and twisted shapes. The great web still glows, but more faintly, as if lit by lanterns rather than fireworks. Some scientists call this future the degeneracy era, when star birth fades and black holes dominate. But the phrase feels too harsh here, floating in the soft glow. You see not degeneration, but quiet endurance. The universe has written its grand chapters, and now it lingers in reflection, as if rereading its favorite passages. You drift on, realizing that you, too, are part of this memory. The atoms in your body were forged in those ancient supernovae scattered billions of years ago. Every breath you take on Earth carries the echo of a star's death. And here you are now, floating in the stillness, both participant and witness in this cosmic story. The thought is strangely comforting. Nothing is ever truly lost. Every glow you see is recycled light. Every star is the child of an earlier one. Even the black holes, which seem like final doors, are part of the rhythm, reshaping the story in ways no one fully understands. You close your eyes, and the universe whispers again, softer this time. Endings are not endings. They are transformations. You float onward into the universe's farthest chapters, where time itself feels stretched beyond measure. Galaxies continue to shine, but more faintly now, as though their lamps are burning lower. The sky is no longer crowded with bright blue stars. Instead, it glows with the gentler light of long-lived suns, steady and quiet. You drift near one of these stars. It is a red dwarf, small and modest, glowing with a faint warmth that will endure for trillions of years. Unlike the giants that once burned hot and fast, this little star paces itself patiently, like a candle with endless wax. Around it, planets circle calmly, worlds that may remain lit for longer than the entire age of the universe so far. It is a humbling reminder. Even as the cosmos grows quieter, persistence continues in unexpected places. But the larger picture is undeniable. Star formation dwindles. The great nurseries of gas are mostly gone. Galaxies slowly dim, their spirals fading into softer, hazier outlines. The universe is moving toward a quieter dusk. You drift into the presence of a black hole, one of countless millions scattered across the cosmos. Its pull is immense, but from here it feels like a silent anchor, steady and still. Over unthinkable spans of time, black holes may dominate the universe, swallowing stars, gas, even other black holes. And yet, they too are not eternal. Slowly, so slowly, they may release their energy back into the dark through a whisper of radiation. Even the heaviest giants, it seems, eventually sigh into silence. Scientists debate what this long future holds. Some imagine a heat death, where all stars fade, all energy evens out, and the cosmos becomes a calm, dark sea. Others wonder if expansion itself may one day tear everything apart, or if, in some far-off possibility, the universe may cycle again. No one knows for certain. But here, floating in this quiet vastness, you realize that not knowing is its own comfort. Mystery is not an absence, but a gentle companion. You let yourself drift in this vision of the far future. The galaxies are lanterns dimming one by one, but not extinguished in haste, only settling, like lights being lowered after a long evening. The universe does not slam its doors. It closes them softly, with patience. And so you rest, surrounded by cosmic memory. You are drifting not through an ending, but through an eternal pause, a slow inhale that may never need to exhale again. You have traveled from the birth of the universe to its quietest future, drifting as a calm witness through the long story of everything. You began in darkness, where the first light flickered into being. You floated past the birth of stars and galaxies, through their collisions and dances, through the rise of planets and the quiet blossoming of structure. You lingered in the middle years, where stars lived and died in rhythm, scattering the elements of life. And now, you have reached the far horizon, where the universe itself slows into stillness. It has been a long journey, but not a hurried one. Every stage of the cosmos unfolded at its own pace, without rush, without urgency. The story of the universe is not one of haste, but of patience, a rhythm as steady as breath. As you rest here, Imagine the quiet expansion continuing around you. Galaxies drifting farther apart, stars glowing faintly in the deep dark. There is no need to solve the mysteries, no need to grasp the full scope. It is enough to know you are part of it. The atoms in your body were forged in these ancient fires. The thoughts in your mind are threads woven into this larger fabric. You are not separate from the universe's history, you are one of its chapters. So now, let yourself sink into that thought. You are safe, you are small, you are infinite. The universe is vast, but it holds you gently, like a cradle of stars. Let the rhythm of the cosmos soothe you. Let the silence of galaxies calm you. Let the patience of time carry you into rest. Drift, dreamer. The universe is keeping watch.